So back during spoiler season for Throne of Eldraine, Acclaimed Contender got a lot of hype. People were saying this is the reason to play Knight Tribal, Acclaimed Contender. A 3-mana 3-3 that will basically always let you draw at least a card, and more likely let you pick between any option of cards that is best suited for the situation. Sort of the Swiss Army knife of the Knight deck. But here we are a few months out, and where is she? Nobody's playing Acclaimed Contender. And while that might have to do with the fact that white is completely unplayable in Standard right now, we're going to give her a shot. We're going to take Acclaimed Contender, the Knight card from Throne of Eldraine, and we're going to try to build a budget deck around her. So what Acclaimed Contender does, when she enters the battlefield, if you control another Knight, you can look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a Knight, an aura, an equipment, or a legendary artifact card from among those cards, and put it into your hand, and then the rest are put on the bottom. So that's a pretty wide array of things that she can pull off the top of your deck, and we're going to try to take advantage of that. So this budget deck is going to have 8 rares and 1 mythic. 4 of our rares are going to be Acclaimed Contender, of course, because that's our build around card. Our other 4 rares are going to be 4 copies of Murderous Rider, just because this is a removal spell you can pull off the top with Acclaimed Contender, which makes it fantastic. I mean, Murderous Rider is already one of the best cards in Standard. It's run in tons of decks, and there's a reason why. I mean, its swift in ability is worth a card on its own. Like, people would play this in Standard if this was the whole card. Just destroy target creature or planeswalker, you lose 2 life. People would play that for 3 mana. And, Murderous Rider is obviously even better than that because you get a creature out of it, too. And so just having one of the best cards in Standards pullable by our build-around is just too much of a pull. So that's where we're spending all the rest of our rare budget here, is just on Murderous Riders. And I think it's absolutely worth it. And our 1 mythic is the Circle of Loyalty. The Circle of Loyalty costs 1 less for each Knight we control, gives all the creatures we control +1/+1, and whenever we cast a legendary spell, we get a 2/2 Knight with Vigilance. And then we can also pay for, tap it, and make a 2/2 white token with Vigilance. We only need the one of them. We kind of stretched our budget a little bit to include just 1 copy of this, because Acclaimed Contender should be able to dig for it. We have other card draw in some of our other creatures, and hopefully we should be able to get to this. And it kind of, looking at Circle of Loyalty and how we plan to use it, we can kind of explain how the rest of the deck is going to work. So this deck is not a typical aggressive Knight deck. Like, a lot of times when you see Knights in Standard, you see things like Knight of the Even Legion or Venerable Knight or other low-drop Knights designed to sort of pressure your opponent. There's a 2-drop red-white Knight at Lord that gives everything +1/+1, but that's not what we're doing in this deck. This deck is a deck of attrition, alright? This deck, we want to go slow, we want to grind, we want to exhaust our opponent of resources, and Circle of Loyalty plays directly into that. 1, it's something we can find off our Acclaimed Contender as a legendary artifact. And 2, once we kind of exhaust our opponent of options, we use our card advantage to kind of get rid of all their answers, then we can drop down the Circle of Loyalty and we can use his abilities to start pumping out 3/3s every turn. And that's basically the idea of our deck. We want to exhaust our opponent. We want them to use up all their resources, and then when they're out of stuff, we have some threats that are really hard for them to deal with, or we have a bunch of 2-for-1s that can keep us in the game, keep us grinding while they're running low on resources. Another example of this is Resolute Rider. Resolute Rider is not a great card in most contexts. Resolute Rider is a 4-mana 4/2, and it has 2 abilities. You can pay 2 white or black to give it lifelink until end of turn, and you can pay 3 white or black to give it indestructible until end of turn. And that second ability is why we have it in here. Again, we want to run our opponent low on resources. We've run them low on removal spells, and maybe they have 1 removal spell left, and then we drop this Resolute Rider with the indestructibility activation held up, and we hold it up for the rest of the game. And it's just this threat that will continue to annoy them, gain us life, and be the sort of inevitable pushing force that they can't really deal with if we leave the mana up. We're only running 2 copies of it because it's pretty clunky, especially at multiple copies, but it is a way to kind of provide this inevitability that is just extremely hard to race. I mean, if we just spend our turns giving it lifelink and making it indestructible, that's an 8-life swing every time it's swinging in, and most creatures can't block it without dying themselves. Even things like Questing Beast, some of the most played cards in Standard, like Questing Beast and other big creatures, are just gonna, if we make it indestructible, they're just gonna be throwing themselves under the bus under this. This is something we want to land towards the end of the game when our opponent's exhausted, and we can kind of use it to kind of put the nail in the coffin, essentially. The same is true for God Pharaoh's statue. This is another legendary artifact, so it is findable by our Acclaimed Contender, but essentially what this card is again, when our opponents run out of resources, we just want to slam this, and then it's going to be too difficult for them to get back into the game. They're getting slowly drained out by this. All their spells cost more, and meanwhile we're just going to be clogging up the board and stalling our opponent out and killing their stuff, and it's going to just slowly kill them. And the idea is to, again, exhaust them, put them in a place where they just can't answer everything, and they slowly die. On the lower half of our mana curve, we have a bunch of knights to sort of fill out our theme. We have Wintermoor Commander, which is pretty good against green decks, even as a 2/1 Death Touch for 2. That's has our tribal synergies with it. That's pretty good. It also has some other abilities that can be helpful in certain circumstances, like it can make its toughness very big, which can make it pretty hard to answer against some decks. And it can also give another knight indestructible when it attacks, which is, it's okay if you're swinging in, but generally it's just a pretty good as a 2-mana, 2/1 Death Touch way to sort of fill out our curve. A good 2-drop to play before we play our Acclaimed Contender on turn 3. Then we also have Smitten Swordmaster. This is how we will kind of finish out a bunch of the games. Maybe we've done some early damage, our opponent's out of answers, then we can just start really hitting our opponent with these Curry Favor abilities on these Smitten Swordmasters to kind of drain out those last points of life. Also Order of Midnight. This is a good way to recur our Acclaimed Contender if it's killed, or just in general, it's a good way to kind of grind out some extra value. And we have the last of our knights is Thalmire Knight. Again, it's just good value if we can draw the card off it. We can play it early as just a 1/1 Death Touch, which isn't the worst thing in the world. We might do that too. If we need a knight on the battlefield for our Acclaimed Contender, we can play it out early. But in general, we do want to be drawing the extra card because we are a sort of value grindy, just slowly exhausting our opponent of resources. Drawing that extra card is pretty important most times. And then there's sort of the special sauce here, which is Shepherd of the Flock. And there's a lot of synergies that Shepherd of the Flock has with our deck. Picks back up our Acclaimed Contender for just 1 mana and allows us to replay it and search our deck for more cards, which is great. And also it interacts well with all of our adventure cards. Our Murderous Rider, for example, we can kill something with Murderous Rider, then play it as a creature, and then pick it up with Shepherd of the Flock, and then kill another creature with it. In Order of Midnight, we can even sort of loop these two together. We can do something like use the Order of Midnight's adventure to bring a Shepherd in our graveyard back to our hand, play the Order of Midnight as a creature, pick the Order of Midnight back up with a Shepherd, play the Shepherd as a creature, Shepherd dies, we pick it back up with pick it out of the graveyard with Order of Midnight, play the Order of Midnight as a creature, pick it back up with Shepherd of the Flock, and we can just sort of do this loop over and over again to sort of have this repeatedly dying Shepherd of the Flock that we can use to eke out a little bit of value. Again, it's not much. It's not like we're going to win many games just doing that, but it is this sort of way we can continue to grind out value as our opponent kind of runs out. We kind of have this little loop that we can use to pull some additional resources. We have a lot of synergies with this Shepherd of the Flock that we can use to grind out additional resources. Again, we can pick up our Thalmire Knight, draw more cards with it, and maybe most importantly, we can pick up our Smitten Swordmaster, so we can, early in the game, we can drain for 2 or 3 or whatever, however much life, and then when we have more creatures on the board, we can use our Shepherd of the Flock to bring our Swordmaster back to our hand, and then drain again, and then play it again. So Shepherd of the Flock has a lot of synergies with our deck, and is just pretty decent all around. Just 1 mana kind of save your creature from removal is pretty useful in a lot of cases. And the last non-land card to talk about in our deck is Deadweight. Deadweight, it's not the best removal spell in Standard, but importantly it is findable by our Acclaimed Contender. So this is how we can sort of deal with early aggression if we're up against like a green Stompy or a red aggro deck. We can play this Deadweight to sort of kill their early creatures. And we can also find it off it's another removal spell to find off our Acclaimed Contender besides just our Murderous Rider. So that covers the basic strategy and the non-land cards of the deck. And our land slot, I am running the rare lands. I'm running 4 copies of Godless Shrine, 4 copies of Fabled Passage, a Temple of Silence, and Scoured Barrens. But if you don't have these rare lands, they are not required. It's just run as many as you have. Run if you've got a couple copies of Godless Shrine, throw those in there. A couple copies of Fabled Passage, throw those in there. And then if you don't have the rest, don't worry too much. Just run these taplands, stuff like Scoured Barrens, stuff like Orzhov Guildgate. And the deck will, obviously it'll take a hit in power. It's always better to have the, more powerful lands, but you can at least try the deck out for only 8 rares and 1 mythic. So don't worry too much about the lands. You can make a cut there if you need to. In our sideboard, we have 3 copies of Duress for things like Control, 2 copies of Devout Decree against decks like Rakdos Knights, or any of the aggro decks, or the Jund Sacrifice deck is pretty good there too. Disenchant, mostly for Fires of Invention decks, although it's also, you probably bring it in against the Jund Sacrifice decks to hit the Witch's Ovens. Noxious Grasp against like Teferi decks and Questing Beast decks, anything is pretty self-evident where you play this card. And then Despark. Despark is something we have access to in a black-white deck that a lot of decks don't, but I think it's very good against decks like Fires of Invention. And there's a lot of like ramp decks, things playing Nissa. There's just a lot of places in the meta right now where this I think is pretty good. And then we have one spot for Cry the Cranarium. Aggro isn't as played as things like Fires right now, so we only have 1 copy, but if you find yourself running into a bunch of it, you might want to slot in a few more copies. And so that pretty much covers it, and we're going to have a section at the end of the video after the gameplay where I'll talk about potential upgrades you can make to the deck, just if you happen to already have them, if you've already opened them from packs, or if you want to spend a few extra wild cards. I'll talk about what other cards you can add to sort of power up the deck. If you want to take this budget deck and upgrade it into like a non-budget, slightly more powerful deck. But for now, let's start working the night shift and get to the games. Alright, working the night shift against Judgmental. And we'll keep this. Really need a 3rd land to make this hand work, but okay, this is probably a Fires of Invention deck. I think that's the only deck that really runs Sphinx of Foresight. What is that? A card in his hand lit up for some reason. Yep, definitely looks like a Fires of Invention deck. So we're going to have our work cut out for us. This is a kind of a hard deck for us, I think. Because, after sideboarding, I think it's actually a pretty good matchup, but game 1, we just have nothing main deck to interact with what they're doing. So we're going to be kind of up against it here. Play one more Commander. We're going to try to get this value while we can off of Acclaimed Contender. Sure. So we will attack first. See what they do. Nothing. Okay. Play Acclaimed Contender. And they could, probably going to Fires and do like a Wrath, which is going to be really bad for us, but which of these do we want? I guess we'll take the Foulmire Knight. So, let's see if they've got the Fires. Of course they do. And here comes the Wrath. Oh, okay. Just a Justice Strike. That could have been worse for sure. Alright. I think what I'll do here is Smitten Swordmaster. Yeah, I'm going to Smitten Swordmaster, drain for 1, play the Smitten Swordmaster, attack for 2. I'm just trying to keep the pressure on here. We're going to have a hard time outgrinding a deck like Fires of Invention. Generally we want to outgrind, but specifically without our sideboard answers to what they're doing, it's going to be hard to outvalue them. So I think we just have to apply pressure and hope we can sort of tempo them out, remove their defenses and just try to kill them before they can use card advantage to deal with what we're doing. There's Cavalier. Well, it's going to make things harder. We would love to draw a removal spell. Removal spells are lands. Double Cavalier, sure. Great, okay, so now we'll go to combat, attack with both. This gets indestructible, this has Death Touch, so they can block, but they'll lose one of their Cavaliers. Sure. So they lose 2, we gain 2, and now I think we just Order of Midnight back our Acclaimed Contender, play Acclaimed Contender. Okay, Murder Strider's good. And we've got a lot of action in hand. The problem is, our action is going to be like 2 drops, 3 drops, and our opponent's action is going to be like 6 drops, Planeswalkers, and Casualties of War, and just stuff that kind of outpaces what we're doing. Okay. Shimmer Possibility. That's good for us, I think. They're using one of their spells this turn on doing nothing, essentially. Just looking at the top 4 cards of their deck. So hopefully we can pull it together from here. We just want to inflict as much damage as we possibly can, and then maybe like train them out with a Smitten Swordmaster or 2. Sure. 10's fine. Guessing a Wrath is in the future? Okay, just a Sphinx. So they're trying to put us to dead next turn. We can use Murderous Strider to prevent that, though, so we'll go to combat, attack, and I think we're going to give Acclaimed Contender the Indestructible, because we kind of want this Mid Swordmaster to die. Yeah. This way we can get it back. Actually, you know what? I think rather than let it die, we're going to just usher it to safety with our Shepherd. I think that's going to be our plan to hopefully win here. So we'll play this Foulmire Knight as a Death Toucher. And then our plan is to kill one of these creatures to prevent ourselves from dying. Because they have this fires, we don't have to worry about things like counter spells. Sure. No. That we do have to worry about. Are we just dead? Ugh, we are. Yeah. So even if we kill it here, they've got us because they can give everything haste and pump it. So, yeah, that was one thing we couldn't really deal with. Even if we had killed something last turn with our Murderous Rider to not give them a chance to pump the stuff, we still would have been dead. So, alright, so now we get to bring in D-Sparks, which will be fantastic against them. We get to bring in Disenchants, and I think that's probably all we want. I think Duress probably isn't great against them because they've just got so many creature threats, you know, between stuff like Hydroicrasis and all the Cavaliers. I don't know if we just... I mean, Duress is great in the sense that we can like pull a Wrath out of their hand, which would be great for us, but I think it's just too high of a possibility that we whiff with Duress. So we'll bring in the D-Sparks and the Disenchants, which will make this a much better matchup. We'll go down all the Deadweights. We'll go down maybe one of the Order of Midnights and maybe two of the Order of Midnights, run it like that. So now we have actual answers to what they're doing, which will definitely help. I mean, we'll keep this. Not the most exciting hand, but it does... I mean, we can start holding up these Foulmire Knights and these, you know, and if they don't play fires, we can use them, and if they do, we can disenchant it. And if we can kind of cut down their mana doubling / tripling from fires, I think we can outgrind this deck, but yeah, I'm not a big fan of fires. In my opinion, it's my least favorite card in Standard, I think. It's just not exciting. It's just like the sort of boring, flavorless card that's very, very, very strong, but doesn't lead to fun play patterns, and it's not interesting to me. So, to me, I don't really like effects like fires and wilderness reclamation and the like. But that's just my opinion. So, if you disagree, that's okay. So what we could do here is run out the Smitten Swordmaster, but I'm pretty sure they're setting up for a sweeper here. So I think instead we're just going to draw with a Foulmire Knight. We'll attack with a more commander. Again, we're more capable of grinding with this deck if we don't have to, if we have answers to their Fires of Invention. So the fact that we have this disenchant means we don't have to rush like we did before. Sure. Yep. And we will draw a card. And we are going to leave up 2 mana here, so we'll... Yeah, we're going to Foulmire Knight, Godless Shrine, untapped, and pass turn. Plan on... This way we have Murderous Strider up, we have Foulmire Knight up, and we have Disenchant up, so we have an answer to pretty much anything they do. There's the fires, sure. Okay. Shimmer, sure. Disenchant the fires. Okay, now we'll... They almost undoubtedly have a Wrath in hand. We want a Shepherd. I think we'll put the Shepherd on the bottom. And we'll draw a card. Play Foulmire Knight. Start attacking. We'd like to draw another answer to... The reason we're drawing with these Foulmire Knights instead of being even more aggressive is we really want to find a second answer because, yeah, there's the other fires. Fires begets more fires. Just enable so much card draw for free that, sure. We knew they had that. Yes, okay. We're just gonna go ahead and despark right now. And... yeah, I think we just keep drawing. Sure. Scoured Barrens. We're getting to enough mana to eventually hold up Indestructible with this Resolute Rider, and then we should be in pretty good shape. One more mana and we can have Indestructible up forever, essentially. Which should be kind of difficult for them to deal with. Another Cavalier, sure. We do get to just Murderous Rider this, so that's something. Yeah, so we'll... Murderous Rider, Cavalier, they hit us for 2, sure. And we will Foulmire Knight. And... we're gonna get back Foulmire Knight. We just want to keep drawing cards. We want to try to dig for our answers, so that when they keep dropping these fires, we keep having ways to kill them. Because if we don't let us fire stick, we're going to be in pretty good shape here, I think. Fair, Bone Crusher Giant. Okay, Fabled Passage. Sacrifice that. Get a Swamp. I think we are just going to run out the Resolute Rider and start holding up Indestructibility. So this is sort of the game plan of the deck. We kind of grind them out, and once we stick a Resolute Rider with enough mana to protect it, hopefully we can just... Sure. Yeah, we don't care about that. Okay, we are not going to draw here. So we'll go to combat, attack with Resolute Rider, see what they do. Sure, we'll give it lifelink, get our life back, and this is going to be... They can't really erase this, so we want to leave up 3 mana for Indestructibility, so I think we will play Godless Shrine, untapped, play Murderous Rider, and pass turn. The Scribe return is going to suck, because it means they're going to probably find something. They also have this land to dig, Castle Pantris. Sure, yep. We'll take it. But we have 6 life-leaking damage a turn, which beats 8 non-life-leaking damage. Especially with this Death Toucher to eventually get rid of this Bone Crusher Giant. Okay, give it Indestructible. They do get to return a creature to their hand. Sure. Put the Sphinx back. That's no problem with us, though. And we will give this lifelink. Attack for 4. Draw with Foulmire Knight. Play Godless Shrine, untapped. Play Foulmire Knight. And we're getting pretty close to having him dead here with this Smitten Swordmaster waiting in the wings. Doesn't take much to kill him from here. So yeah, this is the power of Resolute Rider. Like, it's not the strongest card on its face. Sure. It's not the strongest card on its face, but once you get your opponent kind of up against the wall like this, it gets a lot better. Because it kind of takes multiple resources to really deal with it if you can leave up the Indestructibility. Okay, we'll drop an Acclaimed Contender here. God Pharaoh statue's not bad. They do have a lot of mana at this point. Let's see. I think we'll wait on the God Pharaoh statue because we can do another Acclaimed Contender here. So we'll take the other Acclaimed Contender. And I think we are just going to do Order of Midnight and do a Smitten Swordmaster here. They can kill our Resolute Rider, but I think we just don't want to put ourselves in a position where we die to like a Cavalier of Flames that pumps this Cavalier of Gales to a ton. So we will attack with Foulmire Knight, sure. They want to trade their Cavalier of Gales, that's fine. Okay. So they could Wrath here, and we won't have our Resolute Rider, but then we can untap and do God Pharaoh statue. So, okay, Bonecrusher Giant, we're okay with this. We're getting them in a position where this God Pharaoh statue is going to kill them pretty quick, and we just didn't want to die to a pumped Cavalier of Gales, I think. Sure. Can't really attack here. Okay. Let's see. So if we attack, we get 1 damage through, which isn't enough to kill him. So we'll do Acclaimed Contender, try to hit a Smitten Swordmaster, if we're lucky. Foulmire Knight and Murderous Rider. Guess we take Murderous Rider. Huh. This is a little risky. Ugh. So if we attack with everything, we get through 1 damage. I guess we don't really take anything off the board either. We take the Bonecrusher Giant off the board if we do that, but we can just block that anyway, so we don't take the flyers off the board. I think we just God Pharaoh's... We're gonna God Pharaoh's Gift here, or God Pharaoh's statue, and we're going to... I mean, this will tax them a bit, so hopefully they can't kill us with a Cavalier of Flames. That's what we're afraid of, is using a Cavalier of Flames to pump these flyers that we can't block. And if they can't do that, we should have them here. But God Pharaoh's Gift makes it harder. Okay, that should be game. God Pharaoh's Gift makes this cost 4 mana. God Pharaoh's statue, apologies, makes this cost 4 mana, so they shouldn't have enough mana to do something that'll win them the game here, I don't think. Sure, it doesn't do it. Okay. So we'll go to combat, attack with everything, and they should be dead here, because they're at 2 life. We get, we're gonna get to at least 1 point of damage, and then God Pharaoh's statue will ping the last bit. Okay. Play the knight, and end the turn, and that should be game. All right. Okay, so that was our deck doing what it wanted to do, and we just ground with the most value-based, grindiest deck in Standard, playing, you know, 15 Mythics and 20, 30 rares or whatever. We just outground it with our our little budget deck here, so that's cool. We just have to be able to answer those fires. That's what it comes down to. That's why we won that game, is because we spent all that time, you know, instead of being aggressive, we were drawing a bunch of extra cards, just digging for answers to those fires, and as long as we can answer fires and they don't have just infinity free mana, we can keep up. Okay, well, there's 2 T-Sparks, so that's 2 answers to fires and or Cavaliers, so we can't throw this back. So we'll keep this for sure. Okay. We're gonna just get this Fable Passage out of the way. Get a swamp with this. And I think turn 2 we will just potentially just play out this Foulmire Knight so that we can turn 3 play Acclaimed Contender and search off of it. Okay, never mind. We're just gonna That's better. We're gonna just order here. Put some pressure on the board, and then next turn we can Acclaimed Contender, draw a card. It's a fairy, okay.
I know my responsibility. No, I am not making this up as I go.
Do we want to just Murderous Rider here? I think we do, just to be mana intensive, because we're gonna be able to despark. They're probably gonna do fires this turn, and so we're gonna be able to despark that and do our Order of Midnight. So rather than just play out Order of Midnight, I think we want to be a little mana conscious here. Let's go and get their 4th land. Would really love to draw a land this turn. Even if we don't, we can go despark plus Foulmire Knight. Yeah, there's the fire, sure. Let's see what they do with it. Nothing? Oh man. Well, Disenchant's even better. So we'll hit that with Disenchant. Play Foulmire Knight as a creature. And again, we're doing this just so we can draw off of Acclaimed Contender. Now we have these desparks. I'm guessing because they played nothing, they have just a bunch of 5-drops in hand. It's either that or a bunch of lands. But if they have a bunch of 5-drops in hand, a bunch of Cavaliers and such, these desparks should be pretty good. Kenrith, okay. Still want to draw lands. Yikes, we just can't find a land, huh? Okay, we'll attack with Foulmire Knight. Sure. Do we just want to kill this Kenrith? How dangerous is it to leave it alive? I guess we just kill it. We're kind of just getting mana screwed here though, which is a little sad because I think we've had answers every step of the way. We just cannot for the life of us draw a 4th land, so we can do 2 things in one turn. We're kind of stuck just doing one thing a turn. And eventually that's not going to be enough to keep up with our opponent, I think. We're going to hold on to this last despark as an answer to fires. If they play a Cavalier here, for example, I don't think we're going to... Geez, still found nothing, huh? Okay. Get in for 1. Play Acclaimed Contender. This Swordmaster, sure. Just need a land. Please, please! A land and we're good. Okay, another fires, we can deal with that. They can play anything in the world, they have enough lands. Okay, there's a Cavalier, sure. We can kill that with a Death Toucher, so it's not the end of the world. Sure, when it gets in. No blocks. So we will despark. Still no land. Ugh. Smitten Swordmaster, gain some life back. Get in for 3. Ay ay ay. Well, we're about a fourth of the way, a little more than a fourth of the way through our deck, and we see three lands. So we're basically operating as if we have 11 lands in our deck. That's not good, but in spite of that, we're kind of keeping up. You can see the power of this stuff, because I mean, we're keeping up with one of the best decks in Standard. Despite being stuck on 3 lands on like turn 10 or something. Yeah, I guess I just kill this thing, right? Sure. So I'll blow up this Cavalier. Get in for 4. I think I'm actually only going to get in for 3. I worry they'll play another Hasty Cavalier, and I'd rather have this back than get in 1 extra point of damage. So, even though this Smitten Swordmaster in hand makes me want to get in as much damage as possible, but I don't want to die to something stupid. Sure, there's the Sphinx. My god, still can't find a land. Okay. Well, we'll get in for 1. We'll play Murderous Rider. Pass turn. We're trying to build towards the Smitten Sword Master to finish the game, but good God. We're almost a third of the way through our deck now, and we've seen 3 lands. So that's equivalent to running 9 lands in our deck. Oof. Okay, opponent gets in for 4. We take it. Let's see what else they got. Okay, there's a time wipe. Not great for us. Not great. Okay, finally. Oof. Took you long enough. So I think we'll just go double Wintermore Commander. Oh, we can't. So we'll go Wintermore Commander plus Smitten Swordmaster. I forgot we only had 1 white source. Double Wintermore Commander would have actually been pretty nice, because they could both give themselves indestructible. And that would be a lot of damage coming through that they couldn't really profitably block with their Sphinx. Sure. Very...
Let's slow this down.
Wow. Bouncing the Smitten Swordmaster, huh? Rather than the Wintermore Commander. I don't know about that. Maybe they just have removal for this Wintermore Commander, so they want to actually kill it. That would make sense. No. But yeah, we're pretty far away from that God Pharaoh statue. What do we want to do here? I think we attack with Wintermore Commander. See what they do. Okay. Play a second Wintermore Commander. Place. Still don't want to die to something stupid, so I think... do we die anyway if they've got the Cavalier? No, I think if we drain here, we don't die if they have the Cavalier, so we'll drain and just play out the Foulmire Knight. Hope they don't have another Wrath. They do get the Scry. If they leave it on top, it's probably a Wrath. Ugh. Ah, we're so close. It is crazy how close this game's been with us. There's definitely Clarion. With us missing so many lands, it's pretty insane how close we've made this game. The lifelink doesn't help things. There's a Cavalier. Yep, we're running out of ways to survive this. I think we're just dead here, unfortunately. Yeah. Ugh. Unfortunate. But yeah, they can just pump their Sphinx twice. So as soon as they do that, we'll just scoop up the game here. Maybe maybe they'll miss the line, but assuming they just pump twice here, they win. So and I don't think we can even win, even if they don't. Yeah, okay. They see the line. We'll scoop it up. So that was painful. Because we were so close to winning that game. We were stuck. We literally had the ratios as if we had 9 lands in our deck. We got a third of the way through our deck before we saw our fourth land, and that's just pretty atrocious luck-wise. That's probably like a, you know, 0.5% or something like that, maybe even less than that. And even in spite of that, they were almost dead. We had them almost dead. It's a little disappointing because it would have been nice to kind of crush probably the most expensive deck in Standard. Like, I think almost entirely made of rares with our little budget deck here. But you can see how we very well could have, you know. So it's still nice to show that at least. But this one kind of stings. I'll be honest. Let's move on to the next game. Alright, playing Night Shift against Yuri Style, and we'll keep this. We're hoping the Scry can get us into some more action. Say hello back as the most important play of any game. We really don't need any more lands for pretty much the rest of the game, but oh, that's not good. I'm gonna feel bad if I scry this to the bottom and we end up drawing a land, but we don't really want another Wintermore Commander. We really want to find our 3-drop knight that can help us search up more night. That's actually, Order of Midnight's not bad against a mill deck. We should be able to hopefully get back some good stuff that they mill. This deadweight's probably not going to be doing a lot of anything. Let's see what they do. Sure. Whoa, they're milling themselves, huh? They milled a Jace, so that might be their win condition. Or they might be a kind of dredge deck that's going to get back Arc-like Phoenixes. The radical idea makes me think Arc-like Phoenixes, but... well, we'll get in here. I think we are just going to run out one of these Orders of Midnight. Play the Scoured Barons and pass a turn. So, we're just going to be the aggro deck here. They're trying to do something unfair, right? They're trying to, in some way, mill themselves to win the game. Whether that's flashing back Phoenixes or milling themselves out with Jace. We just gotta apply pressure, I think. Ah, there's the Phoenix. Okay, so that is what they're doing. They're doing an interesting sort of like dredgy Phoenix strategy. If they go land, they can go land opt here and get back a Phoenix, potentially. Deadweight is better now. I mean, Deadweight, even though they can get the Phoenix back afterwards, it does kind of undo a Phoenix, which can buy us a good chunk of damage. Looks like they're thinking about potentially killing or bouncing something. Brazen Borrower would be pretty annoying here, because it would mill them more and also reduce our clock. Okay, just an unsummon. That's still annoying, but less so. Let's see if they've got another 1-mana spell. They've got an opt here. Wow, okay. So they are going to get back their Phoenix, but they kind of went negative a bit to do so with this unsummon. So I think this deadweight will actually be pretty okay. Lucky they didn't mill over another one. That would be a lot of damage. Okay, so what we're going to do here... We're getting in with Order of Midnight. Playing Wintermoor Commander. Playing Deadweight. Put this back in the graveyard. And pass the turn. So they've got one spell here via Maximize Altitude, but they have to discard a card at least. Okay, they just scoop it up. They must have had just not much going on in their hand. So we're playing against a self-mill sort of Arc-like Phoenix, probably running Creeping Chills and the like. What do we want against a deck like this? I guess the Valkyrie is probably pretty good against the Arc-like Phoenixes, so we'll bring those in. Do we want to bring in Duress? You know what, Spark might actually be pretty good too. Bring in a couple of those. We won't bring in the Duresses this time, just because there's a lot of stuff we can make them discard that they actually want to discard. So we'll go down maybe Order of Midnights, a couple of those. Go down one Murderous Rider because we just have kind of better removal, and one Deadweight, and run it like that. Okay, yeah, this looks pretty good. We have two ways to permanently deal with an Arc-like Phoenix here. And if that's our opponent's primary plan of winning, then we've got really good strategy here. The one thing, you know, that we did see a Jace as well, which is what makes this D-Spark kind of especially exciting, is that it gets rid of both. Okay, just Fateful Passage, pass turn. Maybe we should have just brought in all the D-Sparks and... Yeah, maybe we'll do that if there's a game 3. We might just bring in all the D-Sparks, go down some more removal spells that aren't as good. Sure. Okay, so he's milled himself for 8. Oh, but he only has 1 mana? I don't know about this keep opponent. So again, we just gotta put the pedal to the metal. Just apply as much pressure as we possibly can. Be our game plan here. They are going to be able to put down some 0/4s, which will drastically slow us down. But, yeah. Okay. Well, we can't really do much anything. I guess we can leave up D-Spark, so that's something, but for now we'll just play this tapped attack. Oh, don't, no. Oh, they may not realize it has Death Touch. Well, so we did win that game with our Night Shift deck here, but I think it was more of our opponent kind of stumbling over themselves more than a big victory on our part. But hey, a win's a win. On to the next game. Alright, playing some Night Shift against Dapia, and I think I'm going to keep this. I mean, one more land and we get to Foulmire Knight, draw a card. And if we draw Plains, this is a really powerful hand. Ay, ay, ay. That's not really what we wanted to see. Green-black, so our bonus on, yeah, Adventurer's Plan. Let's see what we can do about that. Okay, might just need to run out this Foulmire Knight to a trade with this Lovestruck Beast. Midnight Reaper, sure. No blocks. Ay. Well, we're getting punished to the max here, but we will pass the turn. I'm gonna try to trade with this Midnight Reaper, I suppose. Get it back with Order of Midnight next turn, the Foulmire Knight. Still looking for it. I mean, a Plains would still be the best draw. Just to get these Acclaimed Contenders going, then we'll be in great shape. But if we just keep drawing swamps, we're not in the best shape. Okay, double up the Lucky Clover, sure. We will definitely trade. Okay, white source is good. So what we'll do is Order of Midnight, back the Foulmire Knight, play the Foulmire Knight, play Godless Shrine tapped, and pass the turn. We want to preserve our life total a bit because it's going to be doubling up. Ooh. Okay, we're going to need to kill that pretty quick. Looks like our opponent's not kind of stuck on black mana too. Yeah, we'll take 3. So we would love to play Acclaimed Contender and draw into an aura to kill this Edgewall Innkeeper would be fantastic. Okay, our opponent will lose their Order of Midnight here, which is good, because they don't have an option but to target that, which makes the original Order of Midnight fizzle. So they don't get that put into Adventure, that just goes straight into the graveyard. Okay, so let's Acclaimed Contender. Come on. Ugh. Bad, bad, bad. I guess we just Smitten Swordmaster here. Not good though. I guess we attack for 1. See what our opponent does. And we'll Order of Midnight. Last turn. That was our turn, though. Now they're going to be able to draw a card with this Edgewall Innkeeper. Eesh. We get to do Acclaimed Contender again next turn to try to find removal. Sure. Smitten Swordmaster. Okay, we'll just drop that Acclaimed Contender at the top. Ugh. Let's take another Acclaimed Contender. And we'll, I guess we just Order of Midnight. Order of Midnight. And pass. I guess we get in for 2. Our opponent's at a low life total here. Those double Smitten Swordmasters is pretty good. Yep. Okay, we will block, block. Opponent probably has another Order of Midnight in hand. We'll just block, block, block. And they can draw a bunch of cards, that's fine. Because they'll be taking 1 damage for each of those cards they draw. So they're going to go down to 5 here. Or I guess, no. Go down to 6 because I don't get to draw off the token. But that's fine. We're just trying to kill them at this point. And we do have the little special combo in our deck where we can get back the Smitten Swordmaster with the Shepherd of the Flock. So we can reuse these. Okay. If they just murder a Strider here, they kill themselves. So they probably don't want to do that. I mean, they don't have to target all of our creatures, so they won't necessarily kill themselves. But if they try to, like, Wrath our board... Okay, so they're just going to get a bunch of stuff back with the Order of Midnight, sure. We don't care about that. All we care about is their life total. We should just have them dead next turn, I believe. If all they do is play... Yeah, if they just play... If they just play this Order of Midnight out, I think they're dead. Okay, yep, we got them. I mean, they're especially dead because they can't even block our creatures well. But even outside of that, we had them kind of double dead because we can drain them with Smitten Swordmaster. Yep. And dead. Okay. So we kind of turned their Midnight Reaper against them there. We got them. We were able to just drain for 8 with our 2 Smitten Swordmasters, and got them at a low enough life total that the Midnight Reaper kind of turned against them, which was kind of cool. So our opponent's playing a bunch of adventures like us. They're playing green-black adventures, and we're playing black-white knights, which just so happens to have a lot of adventures. But what do we want to bring in against them? I guess probably Noxious Grasps would be good. Maybe Devout Decree is worth it. We don't want to over-sideboard. Despark is probably not worth it, so we'll bring in the Devout Decree. Man, but I don't... Deadweight's pretty good against them as well. Going after those... it's a 1-mana removal spell for the Innkeeper, which is their best card by far, but it doesn't really hit their... I don't know. It does kill everything except the Lovestruck Beast, pretty much. So I think we just won't go up the Devout Decrees. Go down a couple of Shepherd of the Flocks, maybe 1 Order of Midnight, and run it back like that. Okay, game 2 against Tapia, and yeah, we'll keep this. We'll keep this hand. Got the Circle of Loyalty, which is one of, our 1 Mythic, and it's a pretty good one. Okay, looks like they got the Innkeeper. Well, we just gotta hope we draw into some removal here quickly. I guess maybe we should have just mulliganed until we had removal in hand, just because it's so bad to let them untap with the Innkeeper. Hard to say. Oh god, double Innkeeper. That's a nightmare. Okay, we did draw Deadweight, which is good, and we're just going to fire that off now. So, Deadweight, Innkeeper. Godless Shrine tapped. Yeah, if we could just draw another removal spell for Innkeeper, we'd be happy as a clam. They can eventually get him back with Order of Midnight, but at least temporarily. Okay, so we're kind of slowing him down this way, although not by much. And as weird as this seems, I think I'm just going to Murderous Rider, kill one of the Innkeepers. I think attacking the Innkeepers is just how you beat this deck. Innkeeper is just a messed up card. 1 mana that ends up drawing you like 5-10 cards or something. It's insane. So I think every removal spell I got, I'm just gonna fire off at Innkeepers the second I get it, basically, just to minimize as much damage as I can. I think that's probably the right way to do this. We can worry about putting pressure on the board later. Okay, I think here I just... I think I'm just gonna Wintermore Commander plus Swordmaster. Try to get the Circle of Loyalty down next turn. Our opponent could do something like... Could do like Lucky Clover plus double Murderous Rider here, which would be just devastating, but I think this is our best line. Try to get a couple knights on the board. And once we get the Circle of Loyalty down, we should be in pretty good shape. Oh god, Vraska. Well, they can't kill our Circle of Loyalty with Vraska, so that's something. Okay, and they're not going to kill one of our knights, so... I think this... Okay, we're actually okay with this. We're not upset about this at all. Because they have to... If they want to keep their Vraska alive now, they're going to have to chump with their Edgewall Keeper, which we're... And, like, either way, we're happy, so... Let's see, is there any other better way to do this? No, let's just, Circle of Loyalty. Attack Vraska with both. So this guy's indestructible, so he can chump with his Innkeeper, which he will, to keep Vraska alive. But Vraska can't kill the Circle of Loyalty. And so that's good for us. And this should be pretty good. We're probably just going to take... As long as we got this on the board, we might just take these turns just making 3/3s by paying 4 mana. Because eventually there's probably going to find a way to kill this thing, and once they do, we can start playing cards in our hand again. Alright, so the Murder Strider would kill one of our creatures, sure. Wow. They're just... They must have a lot of lands in hand, I guess. Ooh, Acclaimed Contender's pretty good. Yeah, I think we do this instead of making something, just because it's so much better. I'm gonna take the Smitten Swordmaster. And we'll attack the Vraska. Put it down to 2, and then we'll Order of Midnight, get back 1 or more commander. So we're setting up to really drain our opponent out with these Smitten Swordmasters. We've got these big creatures attacking, and they can't... This Vraska's not going to kill anything. It's going to draw cards still, which is a little annoying, but it doesn't have enough loyalty to blow up one of our creatures now. It has drawn them. It's going to end up drawing them like 3 or 4 cards, which is not the best for us, but... Next turn we'll probably just do something like play Order of Midnight and make a 3/3 with our Circle of Loyalty. Okay, Epic Downfall. I can play a creature as well, so it would be nice. I guess they're gonna +2 it, aren't they? So we won't even be able to kill it next turn. Oh wow, okay, so they're just gonna wipe our board, sure.
Unfortunate casualty.
Oh, another Acclaimed Contender. Okay. Again, we're gonna not mix up with our Circle of Loyalty just because Acclaimed Contender's so good. So I'm just gonna do this. Go get a Murderous Rider. Sounds good. Yeah. Murderous Rider... pretty good here, so now we can finally just kill this Vraska without having to do it through damage, which is nice. So no amount of removable spells is going to save him now. Finally get this thing off the board. And if they just tick down the Vraska, yeah, okay, that's fine too. Because now we can Order of Midnight to kill the Vraska. And save our Murderous Rider for either a new Planeswalker or if they play a big creature. But we do sort of have an army in a can here. Sure. Like, even if we run out of action, we can just start making a bunch of 3/3s. So, we're not too worried. Okay. We'll attack with Order, finally get this Vraska off the battlefield. And then we will... I think we're just gonna... Oh, we only got 5 mana. I think we're just gonna Order of Midnight... Get back Acclaimed Contender. If we had 6 mana, we would have just made a knight with our circle there. Okay, get another Acclaimed Contender, sure. So we've kind of got our engine going here. just sort of recycling these Acclaimed Contenders. We can do it through Order of Midnight, we can do it through Shepherd of the Flock. There's a lot of ways we can just sort of keep reusing these Acclaimed Contenders as a draw engine. And that's sort of the idea of this deck, is Attrition. You know, we want to grind our opponent out by kind of, you know, basically exhausting their resources. We do need to be careful not to get drained out. Our opponent could do something like Lucky Clover, Smitten Swordmaster to do a lot of damage. So we gotta keep that in mind. Big old Beanstalk Giant, sure. So we will... is one or more Commander as a Death Toucher to block this Beanstalk Giant. Attack for 3. And I think we're gonna, instead of killing something with this Murder Strider in our hand, I think we're gonna play out this Murder Strider as a life linker, so we can start gaining some of this life back. Sure, going to get more lands. But we do have Death Touchers, which... okay, that's a little annoying. Probably going to kill that with Murder Strider. We do have to trade this turn, though, which unfortunately gives them a card draw, but... okay. Shepherd of the Flock is great. So, but right now we'll just Murder Strider, Swift End this Midnight Reaper. Sure. Go to combat, attack, attack. Oh, opponent. So we don't have the mana to just kill him with Smitten Swordmasters, so I think we will fire off one, though. Smitten Swordmaster, and we'll leave up this Shepherd of the Flock to potentially save our Acclaimed Contender if they have removal for it. Okay. Block this Murderous Rider. They do gain up enough to not just die on the spot when I untap, but we still got them dead, because we can just go Order of Midnight, Smitten Sword. Okay, now they're actually just dead. I don't even have to do anything. I can just Smitten Swordmaster them. Sure. They may Smitten Swordmaster right here to try to... yeah, okay. So they're trying to gain themselves enough life that they won't die, but we still got them. Yep. And so we kind of played the better Smitten Swordmaster game here. So we'll go Smitten Swordmaster, Order of Midnight, and just finish them off with a Smitten Swordmaster for 5. So yeah, we took down the Lucky Knights green-black adventure deck with our black-white Knights attrition deck, or Night Shift as I call it. But yeah, we just sort of outvalued them, and that's sort of what this deck I think will do most of the time when it wins. It just, you know, we just got back Acclaimed Contender a bunch of times, and really we could have gotten it back even more than that. You know, we could have Shepherd of the Flocked it back to our hand and then replayed it, and we could have, you know, let it die a bunch more times and get it back with Order of Midnights, and we can even do some tricks where we sort of cycle the Order of Midnights and Shepherd of the Flocks around to get a bunch of value. So yeah, this is pretty much a demonstration of what our deck can do here. We just sort of grind our opponent out, get some damage through, and kind of finish it off through some drain. And we can kind of dig through our deck to find our one Mythic without having to play a bunch of copies and use up a bunch of wild cards. So yeah, just sort of took them down. Sweet. Alright, playing Night Shift against CMU Bronco, and yeah, seems like a good hand. Got our Acclaimed Contender. Got some earlier... okay. I'm probably just gonna, yeah, definitely put that to the bottom. Probably just gonna run out this Smitten Swordmaster on turn 2, and then Acclaimed Contender on turn 3. Looks like maybe a control deck. Ooh, Thought Erasure. Yikes. A lot of control decks. That makes this hand significantly worse, although we can bring it back with Order of Midnight, so that's something. I think for now we'll just Wintermore Commander. Get that on the battlefield. Probably want to get up to 5 mana where we can Order of Midnight and Acclaimed Contender in the same turn. So we'll attack here. Looks like our opponent's on Grixis control. Maybe even Fires. I guess we will... We're just going to do this now. Order of Midnight, get back Acclaimed Contender. Play Godless Shrine tapped. We're just trying to get max value out of our cards. If it is Grixis control, if it's Grixis Fires... To be honest, we're going to have a hard time against a Fires deck until we get to the sideboard and are able to... Okay, this is definitely a Fires deck. So Grixis Fires, probably built around like Nicol Bolas and such. We're going to have a hard time against this deck pre-board, just because they run Wrath's main deck, which are pretty good against us. Okay. So we will... Well, we've got them tapped out. We're just going to Acclaim Contender. Draw our card. We'll take Murderous Rider. That should be pretty good against this deck. And then we will Fable Passage. Go get a Swamp. Drain them for 2. Attack for 2. So I'm expecting a Wrath here. Fires into Wrath, most likely. But if they don't have that, we're in pretty good shape. If they just go Nicol Bolas, we can probably, you know, we've got Murderous Rider. Okay, Enter the God Eternal's not the best for us, but not the worst either. Ugh. Didn't want to see another land, that's for sure. Okay, we will... So we're going to draw a card with Foulmire Knight. Yikes. Well, we'll, then we just play Order of Midnight here to put a flyer on the board. Pass the turn. This way we have pressure if they start dropping Nicol Bolas's. Maybe this isn't a fire stack. Maybe it could just be Grixis control. I've never seen people play Drawn for Dreams outside of a fire stack, but it's possible. Okay, this isn't so bad because we can kill this. We kill this 4/4 and then kill their. So we'll do that. Kill the 4/4. Attack down Nicol Bolas, and you know, Resolute Rider might actually be pretty good against this deck. Let's see. And I think I'm just gonna run out this Murderous Rider. Pass the turn. We're gonna have the mana to play this Resolute Rider. Well, I was gonna say to play this Resolute Rider and leave up Indestructibility, which would have been, I think, pretty good against their deck. If we can draw our, I mean, we do have ways to get it back. We do have Order of Midnight. Okay, it looks like they're searching their sideboard. Probably for a Wrath, I'd imagine. But I mean, Wrath isn't even especially good for us here, because we can just spend our turns getting, you know, value out of Foulmire Knight. It's not like we just lose to a Wrath. Yeah, there's the Wrath, Ritual of Soot. So we're just gonna draw a card, Profane Insight. Ooh, Order of Midnight's good. Yeah, so what we're gonna do is Order of Midnight, get back Resolute Rider. We probably should have gotten back Order of Midnight actually, but oh well. We'll and then we'll play Smitten Swordmaster and kind of put them in a position where they feel like they need to pop off their that Ritual of Soot, and next turn we can play Resolute Rider and leave up Indestructibility, and then hopefully that'll put them in a hard place. Sure. We'll kill our creatures. They have Wishes as a blocker, sure. play Resolute Rider, play Foulmire Knight, pass the turn. This is my... Oh, come on. Well, that's pretty good against us. Alright, we are going to kill this now while this is on the stack, so they don't get to draw a card off of sacrificing their Fae of Wishes. Which is something, but that's... Hey, that was a pretty good answer to our Resolute Rider. Yeah, I mean, we're playing into a Wrath this way, but... And we just put as much pressure on the board as we can. Put 3 Knights out. Terrain with Smitten Swordmaster. Hopefully they don't have the Wrath. And we've got them... I mean, we've got a lot of pressure on board. Chandra. That's not good.
Check out these fireworks.
We need some good draws here. That was not a good draw. We're gonna need, like, Order of Midnight so we can kind of chain together Order of Midnights. That's probably the only way we're getting back into this.
Let's get toasty.
Sure. Not what we wanted. So, but we'll play it. I think we still do gotta play it just to put pressure on the board against that Chandra. Although they can't just take it down for 1. Narsa doesn't really change anything.
Hope it's not too hot for you. I have just the trick.
Let's see what they got. Nothing. Okay. Good combat. Get pinged twice. Well, we'll attack the... Jeez. Yeah, we'll kill the Narset. I think we just have to draw removal for the Chandra. And pass the turn. And I can bounce the Shepherd back to my hand. Sure.
No pressure.
I guess I do this like this. I'll bounce planes back to my hand. Just to get the Shepherd of the Flock out of my hand. And ruin their thought erasure, although it still does let them scry, which isn't nothing. I think we just ignore the Chandra, though. I don't think I need to attack her with a Shepherd. I think I need to go after his life points. Deadweight's not what I wanted to see. Okay, attack. Play the planes. Pass the turn. Sure, cry the Granarium.
Let's get toasty.
So we've got, I think, a couple more turns before this Chandra kills us. So we're going to draw something pretty... I mean, even a Murderous Rider would be great here. Order of Midnight would be great. There's a lot of cards we can draw that would really... Acclaimed Contender. We'll just pass the turn. I think that's probably game, though. I don't think we can win from here. There's the Narset.
Open mind.
Wow. That's kind of I guess we maybe should have played the Acclaimed Contender, because it would have survived that. Let's see. Is there anything we can do? It'll be some miracle draw for us to survive this. That is not the miracle draw. Okay. So we weren't able to pull it out there. We just didn't have good enough draws to deal with what our opponent was doing there. We should be better after sideboarding, though, because our opponent is on the all non-creature strategy, which will be great to hit with our Duresses. I don't know when the sideboard became this horrible thing for Arena to load, but it's kind of annoying. Okay, so Duress, Duress, Duress. Despark, Despark, Despark. And is there anything else we want to bring in? Maybe Devout Decree would be worth it against the Chandras and the Lilianas, but I think I'm going to leave it out. Maybe game 3 I can decide if I want that or not. So Resolute Rider actually looked pretty good there. We'll go down all the Deadweights. Those are pretty bad. We'll go down maybe a Wintermoor Commander, maybe a couple Wintermoor Commanders, and run it like that. So I think we should be able to grind with this deck a lot better now that we've sideboarded and have some answers to what they're doing. I don't know. I guess I keep this. There's a lot of good draws we could have with this. You know, if we draw like an Acclaimed Contender, we can start going off with this hand. Murder Strider's not bad. We also need to draw a land, though. If we just draw no lands, we're going to be in a kind of a rough spot. Come on, lands. Sure. Okay, that's a land. I can't complain. I think I will just drain for one with Smitten Swordmaster and pass turn. Okay. I'll duress. See what my opponent has going on. So it is a Fires of Invention deck. So nothing, fires, Chandra, and nothing else. I guess we take fires. Yeah, we'll take the fires. And play the Smitten Swordmaster. Opponent may just cash in the Fae of Wishes here. I don't know. They may leave it out as a blocker, they may cash it in. I'm not sure. No attacks. Okay. I think we do draw a card here. Get some more duresses. Huh. And we'll play... I think we'll get in with both and just bounce the one they block with Shepherd of the Flock. Just because we know the Chandra's coming down, so we don't want to play out a bunch of creatures into the Wrath. And this way we do want the Smitten Swordmaster back in our hand to drain out eventually. So we can do that now. It's not really worth trying to kill the Fae when they can still bounce it back to the hand. Okay. Bounce the Smitten Swordmaster. Get in for 2. Duress would be the best thing for us to draw here to get rid of this Chandra before it comes down, but assuming we don't, we can still blow up the Chandra, so it's not the end of the world. Okay, we will Profane Insight, draw a card. Play Shepherd of the Flock. Yeah, and Chandra away, opponent. We're gonna just Murder Strider it. Okay. Opponent Murder Striders are 3-1, no problem. Wow, they're just gonna play out their Murder Strider, huh? Okay, I don't know what our opponent's doing. Yeah, we'll attack. Play Order of Midnight. Turn Shepherd to our hands. Play Foulmire Knight. And play Order of Midnight. Plan on Shepherd of the Flocking back Order of the Midnight when they play the Chandra. See, Shepherd of the Flock and Order of Midnight together can kind of loop and have some cool interactions. So it's they're gonna get the other effects anyway. I wonder if it's... I guess it's still worth bouncing the Order of Midnight. Because we can use it to get back other things. Oh, opponent scoops it up. I think we just had a little bit too much value on the board for them to deal with. So yeah, between the repeating the Shepherd of the Flock with the Order of Midnight, just kind of looping those together. We were just kind of outvaluing our opponent, and taking that fires early was key, as it often is against fire decks. So, okay, our opponent just scoops the whole match. Alright. So we beat Grixis Fires. I think they realized they were probably not favored after the matchup. We have Duresses and D-Sparks, and just a lot of things that make their whole strategy seem a lot worse compared to when it's kind of untouchable in game 1, so sweet. Alright, so the deck turned out pretty sweet, pretty much exactly how we expected it to, which is pretty cool. And it was able to kind of grind with some of the better decks in the format, which is nice. But now we're going to talk about potential upgrades, and there's some really obvious ones to talk about first. The first of which is Knight of the Even Legion. This is just one of the most powerful cards in Standard. Definitely one of the most powerful 1-drops in Standard, if not the most powerful. And it's a Knight. And what's good about Knight of the Even Legion is not only is it good in an aggressive deck where you usually see it, but it's good in our deck too, because if you're going late, if you're grinding out value, if you're extending the game into the long game, well, it has that pump ability that's going to make it just a mega threat. Even though it's 1 mana, it's going to end up being this huge in-game threat that is just, a disaster if they can't block it. So this is definitely, worth slotting in if you have a few copies, or if you want to spend the wild cards. I would absolutely recommend this. Another card I try is Midnight Reaper. It's a knight for our theme, and it's just powerful. Like, again, what we want to do is to kind of eke out as much resources as we can, exhaust our opponent, and making all of our creatures draw us a card when our opponent kills them is a great way to do that. So definitely worth trying out Midnight Reaper. Maybe even run like 3 or 4 copies. Like, it's probably pretty good in this deck, I'd expect. Doom Foretold would be another interesting build around. It sort of deviates from our theme a bit because it's not findable by Acclaimed Contender. So it's not like we could really dig for it with Acclaimed Contender, but if we ran 4 copies of it, it might be pretty good if you built the deck in the correct way. Just having, being able to get creatures back with Order of Midnight repeatedly, and having a lot of low drops to sacrifice to Doom Foretold, that might actually make it pretty good. Typically you see this in sort of Dance the Manse kind of control shells where you're sacrificing artifacts and things that have basically drawn you a card that you don't need anymore anyway. Well, it crushes your opponent, but we could do it a little more differently where, we're also getting 2-for-1s in the form of like Acclaimed Contender and Foulmire Knight and Order of Midnight and just ways to get good value. And that could make us sort of break the symmetry of this Doom Foretold. So that might be interesting to try if you wanted to kind of retool the deck a bit. Another angle to look into is if you wanted to focus more on the other legendary artifacts and the colors. Stuff like Cauldron of Eternity or Bolas Citadel or Parhelion 2 might be interesting to look into. There's also Golos, which, I don't know, it's kind of interesting in a sense. I don't know how you would make it work in this deck exactly, but maybe there's some weird way you could take advantage of the fact that Acclaimed Contender could pull Golos out of the deck. But in general, I would look at these 3. Parhelion is, again, I don't know if it kind of fulfills the same role as like Circle of Loyalty or Godbearer's Statue, where it's just sort of this end game. We've kind of got things locked up. Now we just need to kind of put the nail in the coffin, sort of. And so I don't know if we actually need something like Parhelion 2. It just kind of seems like maybe it might be a worse version of those 2 cards. Bolas Citadel would be interesting, but our deck already kind of uses life as a resource, right? Via like Murderous Strider and Foulmire Knight. So we don't want to just plop Bolas Citadel into this deck. I think it would too often just be not usable. But again, there might be some way you could retool the deck with the fact that Acclaimed Contender can dig out Bolas Citadel. Maybe there's some way you could take advantage of that. I'm not sure. And Cauldron of Eternity might actually be pretty good too. This is more of a, again, if the idea is that we kind of grind things out, the chances are late in the game we're going to have a good number of creatures in the graveyard. So we don't even necessarily need to heavily build around this. We don't need to try to actively fill up our graveyard, probably. Maybe just having 1 copy of this mixed in with like Circle of Loyalty, maybe that might be worth trying to, again, sort of give this inevitable threat that we can drop down at the end of the game to really finish our opponent off. And the last upgrades are obvious, but they should be pointed out. It's Castle Lochwin and Castle Ardenvale. Both of these would be fantastic in the deck. Specifically, Castle Lochwin would be fantastic because it would give us a way to, once we're kind of run low on resources and we've ground our opponent down 2, we have this additional way to sort of pull extra cards out of our deck. So that's Castle Locthwain would be the one I would add first, but I think Castle Ardenvale might be worth it as well, potentially. This is a heavier black focus deck than a white focus, at least how it's currently built. So I would say definitely Locthwain. This is an incredible card in the deck, and maybe try Castle Ardenvale as, again, sort of this inevitable thing you can do at the end. Maybe like one copy of this and like 2-3 copies of Castle Locthwain. So that's going to wrap it up for Night Shift. I really enjoy playing with Acclaimed Contender. I really enjoy cards that have a sort of toolboxy feel to them that let you, when you need to dig for a specific card, to have this card that sort of could be that. It's sort of this Goblin Matron type card that can come down and like pull whatever you need out of the deck. Obviously Acclaimed Contender is no Goblin Matron, it doesn't search your whole deck for it, but looking at the top 5 gives you a pretty good chance to at least find something in the neighborhood of what you want. I think most of the times we played Acclaimed Contender we had like 2 or 3 hits, just because almost everything in our deck is a hit that's not a land. So it's a pretty good feeling to kind of slam that and have the feeling that you're gonna pull something useful off the top. Anyway, if you do end up playing this deck, or taking it and upgrading it, or taking this idea and expanding off of it in other directions, let me know. I always like to hear about that. So I hope you enjoyed watching, because I enjoyed my time on the Night Shift. But alright, see you for the next one.